has quartz crystals inside of it.
Right. And I think people don't really realize that because they don't really know necessarily what's in their computers. But in your iPhone or whatever you're listening to the show on, I can tell you there's quartz or quartzite in it. And so, this is one of those things that, from that standpoint, you can.
Right. It's in the microchips.
Right. And, also, they trying to figure out the amount of storage that you could actually put inside a crystal. That's something that people are really, really working on because you could use crystal to impart lots of data.
I think they're already using laser to store information in crystal, to place it in and to read it out. It's just that technology is not yet ready for the public, but they already have this technology, I've heard.
Yeah. So is that something that you think that whenever people were making these skulls, or if you believe that an alien life made these skulls, do you think that that's what they were trying to do, was to go ahead and save all this data for us, so one day when we are, is that maybe part of the prophecy, is that one day whenever we get these skulls together and we're smart enough to decode it, that maybe that's what it means by peace on earth, is because maybe that'll solve all our problems as far as that goes.
I think that you're absolutely correct. I have that sensing when I'm around the skulls that that one of their abilities, not the ability, but one of their abilities is to be able to store higher wisdom and knowledge, and that this is something that was done by very advanced civilizations who worked with the crystal skulls, and like a programming, if you will. They placed it inside, and they knew that eventually humanity would come back to this high level of technology and be able to read the knowledge they have inside of it. So I definitely feel that's a part of it. But like I said, too, there seems to be an intelligent presence that also works through these crystal skulls. Almost because they're in the physical, it gives them a way to have an interaction with us. Mm-hmm. So in other words, let's say like a galactic civilization, they love us, they'd like to see us have peace on the planet, but they cannot by free will. They're not allowed to directly come down here and, just give us all these gifts and take away all our problems. Because if you think about it, all the challenges we have in the world, we've created this ourselves. We've given permission for this to happen. So if we can create this, we can uncreate it. But I think, in the past, probably what they did is they said, okay, humanity is in the process of evolving spiritually, of waking up to who they truly are as divine children of Creator. So we'll give them this gift of the skull for both its knowledge, for the healing energy that it contains, to be a catalyst to awaken people. So when I've had, and again, for some people they may say Joshua's crazy, but when I have the conversations telepathically with our skulls or whatever skulls I'm talking to, the sensing that I get from them is that in the past, that was the reason why that they were created, as a tool to assist humanity in spiritual awakening, and they're returning now to do the same thing again. Mm-hmm. So this is why I'm recommending to any of the listeners of your radio show, if they're kind of intrigued about this discussion that we're having about crystal skulls, either they can contact us, and maybe I can give out some of our contact information at this point.
Oh, yeah, please do.
Okay. They could contact us, and we can help them to possibly find the crystal skull they want, or we can teach them about it. Or if they already have one and they want to learn about it. So a really good way to contact us is email address, very simple, crystalskullexplorers@gmail.com, and explorers is plural. So that's crystalskullexplorers@gmail.com. And then our website is CSE, like Crystal Skull Explorers abbreviated, CSE.crystalskullexplorers.com. So those are two main ways through the internet to get a hold of us. But on our website, we give examples of like some skulls we've helped people, and we talk about, how we do this. And we've helped a lot of people to find their right crystal skull. But the experience is really very important to have. That's the best way to fully know and understand what these are. And there has to be a reason. I look at this too, not just because I personally have a strong affinity for this, but why all of a sudden within, say, the last 15 years, are there so many carvers making them and so many people who want to have one of their own? There has to be something on a subtle energy level that's going on that the person feels or intuitively knows that this would be a key tool for them in their spiritual awakening and growth. Now, the crystal skulls are not correct for everyone, but there are many people now, and it's like when people say, well, Joshua, how many crystal skulls are there? I cannot tell you, because, you have these very old or ancient ones, of which I don't know how many there are of those. The old ones, there are going to be even more of those, which I don't know, and the new ones, they keep making them every year, thousands and thousands of them. Mm-hmm. So my thought is that part of the reason that this may be going on is as more and more people become what I call a guardian, not the owner, but a guardian of a crystal skull, that somehow it's helping our planet to create a more harmonious vibration. Because as the crystal skull comes into the person's life, and it can be a piece of quartz crystal as well, it's helping to harmonize and balance their frequency and their energy. And one of the things that starts to happen as one person finds more peace and harmony in their life and they go out in their daily life, they start meeting the people they know and their friends, they start sharing that energy with those people. And then those people start waking up and so on. So this is kind of what I see. We're in the process of happening, even though we still have a lot of crazy things going on in our world, that a lot more people are really starting to pay attention to who am I really? Why do I have these special gifts, intuition, feeling something I know, and where are we heading, and how can we work together? And I feel like everybody's my family. They're not my enemy. They're not strangers. They're members of my family. We should be all working together to create a peace on our planet. Mm-hmm.
Well, I agree with you totally from that standpoint. I think people should contact you to see or to find out more about what it is that you research and finding the right crystal for them and things like that. Because I know that my wife, when she saw your crystals, skulls, mm-hmm. She felt like there was ones that definitely resonated more with her than other ones, mm-hmm. and so. Is that something that the skull itself would be able to tell you, or is that something that if you're sort of are in the idea of trying to find a skull that can accentuate your natural abilities or whatever, is that something that you would just be able to pick up and find out yourself, or is that something that as a person becomes more experienced, they'll find it? Because you do seem to find that some people will will buy certain gems and crystal stones and things like that because they believe that that power of that crystal itself or that gem or whatever empowers some ability to them. So do you find that that's sort of a basic rule of thumb, or is that more that something where somebody would be actually need somebody to help them find it for them?
It can go either way. Many times what happens is a person would go on eBay and they're looking and, oh, that's nice, but I don't feel strong affinity. And then all of a sudden, like what happened to Katrina one time, she went on eBay and she saw, well, I think possibly a very old, if not an ancient skull. that this man in Holland felt he needed to release, and he just felt she was the right guardian for it, and he made an arrangement with her because she couldn't afford, or we couldn't afford all of it right away. And that's a very special skull that's part of our collection now, called Winema, which means woman chief. That's the name that the skull gave to her. So I think in most cases, a person feels an affinity towards it, and they just know that's the one that they're supposed to have. But if they need help, then of course there are people who can offer suggestion. And really, what I see as the key is it's like riding a bicycle. Like maybe you get a really tiny skull to start off with as an experiment. You know, you don't have any expectations. You just get one. Maybe amethyst, which is a purple quartz, resonates with you, so you just decide, okay, I'm going to get a little tiny amethyst skull. You don't really care what it looks like or whatever, but it gives you an opportunity to get accustomed to the frequencies and energies that are connected with the skull. And then when you go to get your second one, you're better prepared, and you have a better idea of what it is you want. It's the same thing, too. People will say, well, now that I have one, what the heck do I do with this? I don't know. You know, if there's something specific, if there are procedures. And again, it's kind of a spontaneous process. It's going day by day, and, you know, maybe you just sleep with it for a while, you meditate, or, you know, you just get this feeling you should do something with it. Like one time, Portal de Luz calls me Dad, when we were in England. He says, Dad, I want to go to the crop circles. Take me to the crop circles. So I asked my friends in England, of course, that it was the summer, so there were crop circles all over the place. And I think that summer we wound up going to 3 in England and 2 in Holland. There were actually crop circles in Holland also. And we had a remarkable experience in one of the crop circles when I was meditating with it. So, you know, so it's just kind of going day by day with it and trusting the process. And the skull will know its guardian, which is the best way to communicate with you, you know, which is your strongest inner gift. You know, whether, like if you read a book, do you hear the words or do you see the words? Mm-hmm. Well, when I read a book, I have to hear the words in my mind's voice or it hurts me. If I try to just look at the words and what it says, I cannot understand it. I have to hear it. And it's the same way I write, too. As I'm writing and, you know, I'm thinking what I need to write, I hear inside of me, which could either be my own thinking voice, or it could be that I get help, which is what I think happens to me when I write books. I get help, and they're kind of whispering to me, and I go, oh, yeah, that sounds good. I'll use that. So just kind of trusting that process. So it's the same with the crystal skull. You know, you have to work with it, try out some things, and not necessarily follow the procedure or, you know, the steps somebody else gives you. Eventually, you make your own communication with your crystal skull, and then you'll go back to the person that was helping you or you bought it from and say, you know, I don't need your help anymore. I know exactly what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So you just have to kind of give it time. Then there's some people I've talked to who told me, you know, I got this skull and I can't communicate with it. I can't get a name from it, and I don't feel any energy for it. You know, so what should I do? And it could just be it's not the right time to work with that skull. You just have to kind of put it on the shelf, and then all of a sudden one day you may just get inspired to pick it up and do something with it. Or like what happened with my wife Katrina, it's one of our skulls, which I never expected her to do. All of a sudden she's saying, okay, this one wants to go to my friend, and she sent it to her friend who's very happy with it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, so it's not really our possessions. They stay with us however long they feel that, you know, we can work together, because I kind of see it like being a team. Crystal Skull Explorers is not just Katrina and I, it's also our crystal skulls too, which we call our kids or our children, because it feels like they're evolving too as we take them out and they meet new people, or we do research, or we go to sacred sites, or we do our world peace meditations. They are growing and learning and expanding as beings as well.
Right.
So
now let me ask you this kind of question then. Do you ever try to enhance any of the abilities of the skulls themselves? I mean, it would seem to me, you know, a lot of people don't understand. I'm kind of a history